Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for coming on and thanks for watching Grind2Hard podcast. You know, we're over here talking about motivation and entrepreneurship. I invite guests on the show so that you can see their story, you can feel the passion, and then figure out what your passion is. Maybe you make it into a side hustle, maybe you may make it into a career, but we're all about, you know, finding that passion and manipulating it to the best of your ability. You know what I'm saying? Like a long time ago, I was unhappy, and once I figured out that food was my passion and I wanted to be a personal chef, I went out there and did it. And this is my way of paying it back. So this is a show that I really want to say is important to me, episode 60, because me as a chef, I love to look up to who the best chefs are, obviously in the world, obviously in the United States, but here in El Paso, we have a handful of some really, really talented chefs. And one time I walked into a restaurant and I was like in awe of just the passion and what he has to offer. So I want to thank you for coming on the show, Mr. Emiliano Merantes. He's the owner of Elemi, and it is a very, very good restaurant. I'm talking about like culture on a plate. This man puts his passion on a plate, and he makes sure that his whole staff knows what is on that plate. And in that, he was actually a semi-finalist in 2023 for the James Beard Award. I'll go into that, exactly what that means, but I just wanted to, thank you for coming on, Mr. Emilio. Chef, the things you do are incredible as far as flavor, as far as, the way they look on presentation, and obviously getting the James Beard Award, you're doing a great thing behind the scenes. So congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words.
Absolutely, man. I'm seriously, as a chef, man, you got to know you're doing a great thing. Like seriously, you're doing great things. So
that means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So Elemi, are you from the 915? You're from El Paso, Texas?
Yeah, born and raised.
Excellent.
South side of El Paso.
South side of El Paso. What school did you go to?
Well, I went to Burgess High. I was supposed to go to Bowie High School, but my parents, we moved when I was 16 to the east side, so I had to go to Burgess High School. Okay, Burgess. Okay, so like we haven't had. I'm not sure if we had anybody from Burgess, but that's dope, man. Because 915, you actually born and raised here. Yes.
Excellent. And then you out of high school, did you cook, or where did you start cooking?
I mean, I grew up around farm workers. My parents were activists for migrant farm workers, so I was always around farm workers and migrant farm workers, and I mean, we would always have food around, especially what grows in southern New Mexico. So I mean, we were big on cooking at home. We always had all these vegetables that the farm workers would give us, or campesinos, as they would say. Right. So I grew up around food. My mom would cook, and I also grew up with my dad and my uncles, a lot of male influence cooking. So it started at a young age. I wouldn't say I started cooking at a young age, but I did grow up with that. So. Oh, okay. So as you grew up, like in going to school or just being raised, like you had more of a like the farm rather than like I'm sure you had to go to grocery, but like the natural the what am I saying, like the fresh food. You had fresh food available all the time, and that's so jalapenos, onions, anything from chiles, anything from southern New Mexico. We always had at our home.
So you were influenced early with food.
Definitely, I knew how hard these men and women work just to, put food on the table for them and for us. So, and they were paid very low wages. So I was like, man, like that struggle, like, yeah, you got to appreciate. I have a lot of appreciation for like a jalapeno. I would say that, you would probably say, oh, caviar, but like, jalapeno. And I'll tell you a story about the jalapeno, but I have a lot of appreciation.
Please do, because I'd like to see the insight on it, because I've only been, my grandfather took me around things like that, but I only lived in El Paso till I was 10 years old. So he wasn't able to influence me as much. But I do remember being on farms, and like the thing is like that I remember the most is like when it was done, when they were done working, like it was like 18 people on a table, and one person was cooking, or maybe 2 or 3 people. But when the food was down, it was like there was like love. There was no like I'm tired or hate. There was no. It was all about like the friendship and the love of people right there. And I think that's maybe the most influential thing that I can say, because the hard work, like you said, and then the sitting down and like the love, that it's like the aura of love in that table. Yeah, for sure. So I mean, food was a big influence for me too. I just wish I could have stayed in El Paso longer, and gotten that culture. So you said jalapeno. Did you want to go into that?
Yeah, so like I said, my parents would help migrant farm workers. I mean, their offices were downtown. So growing up, I ran the streets of downtown, as a kid,
Sure.
I was always a kid, but I would go around downtown and, kind of see things. And I don't remember how old I was, but it must have been like 10, 11, maybe 12, I'm not sure. I wanted a Game Boy, and I was like, man, I want a Game Boy.
We all did, yeah, definitely.
Obviously, like, my parents probably didn't have the funds to get me a Game Boy at the time. They always tried to give us everything. So, my dad told me, hey, wait till the end of the school year, see how you're doing, and maybe we can get you one. And,
That's cool.
Me being a brat, like, no, I want it now. And, they try to teach me lessons like, hey, look at this kid right here. He has to wake up at 3 a.m. and go get jalapenos, or in Spanish, is piscar jalapenos. And that's what they do for a living. Like, he doesn't, you go to school, this kid has to go to work. And that hit me. And I was like, nah, well, I can do that. I can go to school. I mean, I could go get jalapenos and make my own money. He's like, well, try it. Sure enough, I was like, yeah, I'll go with them. I knew the family. And I was like, yeah.
Wow.
They sent me off with them. And it's crazy because you wake up at 3 a.m.
before the sun comes up. Yeah.
And I mean, you're in downtown El Paso. And this is a center that my parents had, so you could sleep in there before they would sleep in the streets, or they had a apartment somewhere around there. And then they get picked up, and then they go to New Mexico and, work really hard. And,
sure.
That first day we didn't find work, so we had to come back.
Wow, okay.
And I remember the driver asking us, hey, how are you going to pay me? And the lady's like, let's just run. So we just started running.
Oh, wow. That's crazy, man. That's serious. That's no bullshit. Like,
that's what they go
through, like, on a daily basis, man.
So we went the second day, man. And sure enough, we were able to get work. Awesome. And it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, you have to fill up a big bucket of jalapenos. Every bucket you get $1 or a chip. It's $1.
Right.
Back then, this is the 90s.
Okay.
I'm sure it's almost the same still. So I mean,
and you just put the chip in your pocket and then go get another barrel and
yeah. I mean, I worked 14 hours and I think I made like $7, man.
Sheesh.
The toughest guy there made like 30 probably.
I think that's one of the best lessons anybody could ever got, man. Seriously, because like you're thinking about a Game Boy and it's cost X amount, right? Yeah. You're like, just get it for me, Dad, right?
Yeah.
And then you actually work for getting these buckets and you get $1 a piece and you're like, damn, Dad, like I understand, man. It's not easy to get that damn Game Boy. Fuck that Game Boy.
And one of the images that scarred on my head is like, I mean, my friend's sister kept passing out. And to me, that was insane. Like, man, like your sister's passing out.
Yeah, from the sun or just from fatigue.
Yeah, from the heat. And they're like, yeah, she'll come to it right now. It was like normal to them. So I was like, that's insane to me. That
yeah.
She just keeps passing out.
Man, what a blessing, honestly, to get to go through that at that time. So, I mean, the jalapeno. So now when somebody's like chopping a jalapeno and like discarding with the like pieces, you're like, no, hey, man, no. Let's make sure we use that whole thing. You know what I mean? Like. Shit, that's deep, man. That's deep. I like that though. So like your road to actually cooking, when did you like say, you know what, let me make the omelet, Mom? Or when did you actually pick up a pan? And
well, we always grew up cooking. My parents always worked, so we always kind of cooked by ourselves. Or I had siblings, I had older siblings and a younger sibling, so we were always kind of cooking, making our own food, kind of, especially because my mom was working. But really cooking, I really didn't get into it till I was, right out of high school. And I was working at a tortilleria. And my first job was just to deliver tortillas. And I would go to restaurants, to Mexican restaurants, and just go and deliver and see what they're doing and just kind of ask, what are you doing? You were
intrigued, like you were. Yeah,
definitely. But I also didn't have money to be, going to restaurants, that was like a treat to me, so I would always get these ideas, or hey, how do you make this caldo de pescado or whatever, and I just asked the guys. They were always cool. Oh, do this, do that, do this. So that was like the beginning where I kind of, okay, I'm gonna start doing all this thing at home because I gotta eat, I gotta feed my family,
Nice.
So that's kind of when it started, right out of high school, when I was trying to go to school, but also I had to work. So seeing that background, going into the back of these kitchens, it was real intriguing to me, and just to kind of ask these guys, like, hey, what are you doing? How do you do that? How do you do that? And that's kind of how it started from then.
And did that give you a little bit more respect of seeing the behind the scenes in the kitchen too, like how that works too at that time, or no, it was more like just the recipe, like gaining knowledge?
Yeah, just gaining knowledge. But I did remember going to one restaurant on Cotton Street, and it was the only restaurant where, you know, I walked in and I saw this guy in like chef whites with a big hat, and I was like, that was real weird to me. I was like, what the hell? Like,
I've never seen it.
This is a Mexican restaurant. Like,
yeah.
But then, you know, later on in life, I found out that was Chef Lugo, who is the teacher at the Paso Community College.
Yeah, he did a lot. Yeah, definitely.
But it was just crazy to walk in because he had a presence, man, like a scary presence. Like even the cooks, the way they spoke to him and talked to him, it was like, wow, like this is new to me. Like, what is this? Okay. So seeing that, like, and seeing how that kitchen was working, I was like, wow, this is not like the other kitchen. The other kitchen just seems like everyone's just doing their thing, and this one's like everyone's organized. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah,
so
it sounds similar because, like, honestly, like I tell this story a lot, but I was just trying to make some money to go out on the weekends. I was in high school, and $20 wasn't enough, man. So I was like, you know what? You quit your job, where at? And it was a Italian trattoria, man. And I was like bussing tables for a little while, and I finally got a prep cook job. I was making pizzas. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm a pizza guy. And if I look to the right, I would see this chef that was like banging pots, and it was fucking shit flying everywhere, and it's like, fill this up, finish this, and I'm like, what the hell's going on right now, man? But it was such an influence, man. It was such an influence, and he kept his chef coat clean. That was a big thing that I saw, and I was like, how does this dude keep his chef coat clean? You know what I'm saying? Like, he had a presence, like you said, and you know, it's different when people have like go to him and yes chef, and you're like, what is going on? You know what I mean? It's eye opening, man. So you started cooking for the family, making caldo de pescado and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, what things came out of that type of that era that you were like confident about, your cooking wise?
So I was cooking. I was working in restaurants, and I was still going to school. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was thinking of a degree in political science.
Really?
You know,
political science. Did you want to help? Like, the community, or?
Well, political science, because, you know, my dad and my father, they were big readers, man. They taught me a lot about how politics work. And even though my dad didn't go to school, you know, just with his career and what they were doing to help people, they kind of knew how the system works. And, you know, we were always around politicians, and, you know, so that was intriguing to me, learning how the system works, learning how the economy works, learning everything, like, you know. So it was always real about, you know, just understanding that part, and being that my brother and my dad were, you know, they would give me books, they would give me like Karl Marx and stuff like that, and it was intriguing to me. So I was like, man, I want to see what I can, the more I could learn of this, that's what I want to learn.
All right. So you were influenced in that, the political. Okay.
So then so I started going to school, but college just wasn't for me. I couldn't focus. I just couldn't see my life doing that. I was already working at restaurants. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know. You know,
it's tough.
And then, so doing that for a while, it was good. But then I started working. I needed a job, and I started working at the casino at Sunland Park. And that's when, like, my interest just kind of blew up, because I walked in there and I saw everything being made from scratch, and I was like, what's going on? Like they have these big flagship roast beefs, and I was like, what the hell's going on? This is insane. Like, this circus that's coming here, like, but organized, and like everyone, like you said, in white. And I was like, it was a structured kitchen. So that, to me, like, I don't know, something hit me. I was like, dude, I think I want to do this.
Nice.
Like, I think I want to really get into this. And yeah, I mean, I was real fortunate that my first mentor was a really mature, understanding chef. And even though he was strict, he was really smart, really business savvy. So
where was this?
At Sunland Park. At
Sunland Park? And who was the chef?
His name was Danny Bejerano.
Okay.
He's no longer a chef. I think he works for a school now.
But shout out chefs that have that patience, and then really like, for instance, chef from Lola Rose, Daniel, he told me basically, like, his way of paying it back is being patient and teaching how he wanted to be taught when he was in the kitchens. You know what I mean? So he thinks about that. So shout out chefs that really do that. Yeah.
He was more so, like, I knew I wanted to cook certain foods, but he was more so like, hey, man, like, you're going to cook, but this is the right way to behave. This is what the type of person you need to be. So he taught me a lot of those habits, like, not necessarily cooking, but how to be a good person or a better person in the kitchen, you know. And so I was real fortunate to have that, because I know some cooks have their first chefs are either not probably the best mentors, or are different, or just break them just to build them.
Oh, right.
I didn't have that. I actually had good mentors.
Compassion, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I was real fortunate for that.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I guess that would be a hard knock way of learning in the kitchens, and that's actually where I came from. Like those kitchens in Arizona and even in El Paso, like it was like a struggle just to like learn my station, you know what I mean? Like they wouldn't give me the right skills to be proficient on the station. They wanted me to fail, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, those are hard knocks, but when you meet people like yourself, or Chef Oscar, or you actually learn a different way, and it's such an easier way of cooking and being in a great environment. So yeah, I mean, you walked into a great kitchen, honestly. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you did. So from Sunland, where was your growth from there?
So this is where it falls apart, right? So like you have this great mentor, you're like, he's a strong leader,
right?
He has this, he's just organized, like, hey man, and we all follow him. And then I went to work for corporate, which is the opposite of that.
Yeah.
You think like, oh, it's corporate.
Yeah,
they're gonna be more strict, more on point, more. And man, it was
such bad habits, right?
I never want to work for corporate after that job, and I don't even want to say where, but that job kind of, like, I was like, no, like, this is not how it has to be. Like, there's no way it's like this.
Even the product too, huh? Yeah, everything, yeah.
So after that, I was like, no, man, I don't ever want to work for corporate. I work for these little restaurants all day, but I don't want to work for corporate. I guess it kind of goes, because they probably worked in the hard knock kitchens, and they're used to that. But I was, I had a structured kitchen, and I went to this chaos, and I sucked. I was like, this is not for me. Like, I'm not here yet. This is chaotic. This is everything at once.
Stressful, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. You're not able to bring your art or bring your passion. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, man, I left corporate, and I just started working in a bunch of restaurants in El Paso.
And at this time, like, is there any like chef that influenced you? Like maybe, because like I looked up to Chef Anthony Bourdain or Ramsay or something like that. Were you getting any influence from them at all?
Well, I had a chef that I really, really liked a lot. His name was Eric Repair, and he was a seafood chef in New York City. I don't know what magazine I had seen him in, but being in El Paso, I don't know why I've always liked seafood. I've always loved seafood. I guess just because we don't have it as much. And
when you've had it, have you been like into Mexico and like had it there?
Well, I not just Mexico, but my parents would travel, even though we were not. Through the organization, we were able to travel. I mean, I went to the White House in 1995.
Oh wow! Nice.
This kid from the projects in the White House. But we would travel and we would see things. Like, we
That's
were
good.
kind of open, even though we lived here in El Paso. We were kind of open and exposed to those things. So I had tried good things, and it's like, I want that. Like, I want to try that food.
Right.
So I was really. I had read a magazine of him, and like, just the way he thought. He was a Buddhist, I think. So just his philosophy. I also had, obviously, we all had the French Laundry cookbook.
For sure, yeah, exactly.
That was another one of my inspirations. But yeah, like that New York City scene. Like, once I started reading about him, I started going into all the New York City scene. Before even Europe, I know most people look at the European chefs, but like before that, I was really into the New York City scene. And what was going on there, and just seeing the philosophy and how those restaurants are ran, I was like really intrigued. Like, wow, like
the white linen, the crystal glasses.
Like,
I
remember reading the next this pastry chef, like, oh yeah, like my life begins at midnight. Like, that's when my life begins. But come in the morning, I'm working all day till midnight. And I was like, whoa, like, I guess that's the kind of life I'm gonna lead. So I really got into that, man. And yeah, Rick Repair was one of those chefs that I was like, wow, like this is kind of what I wanna do.
That's what's up. Because I when I really started to love cooking, and I read Kitchen Confidential, and basically that's just the inside of what it is to be a chef and all that stuff you're talking about, like midnight, when you have to live, that actually your free time and stuff like that, and just the hustle and bustle of a kitchen, and and stuff like that. And I was like, I think I'm down for this. You know what I mean? I think I'm down for this, because all this other shit that I've gone through is not what I want. You know what I mean? So food is definitely my lane. So when did you actually not become, like, say a chef, but when did you feel real confident that in what you were doing in cooking, and that you wanted to explore something bigger?
I don't think I ever when I was that young, I don't know if I had the confidence to do my own thing, or to like, hey, I want to do this or do that. But I knew it was something that I want to keep doing and keep learning. Like, to me, learning was more important, but it was also hard because, I did have a family, so I also had to work full time. So yeah, I would ask chefs like, hey, have a little stage I can do. I want to learn or whatever. I would write to chefs here in El Paso, and try to get more knowledge that way. But just working in the different little kitchens that I worked at, I started really, really liking it, really, really enjoying it. Just kind of doing my homework outside of those kitchens.
In the midst of this, I don't know. I'm trying to think, because most people would be like trying to advance, trying to get in the bigger kitchens. Yeah. But you're trying to learn more recipes and learn. Yeah,
I wanted to learn more. I didn't go to culinary school till like a year after working at Sunland Park, and that's because I would see these guys go in, and I kind of knew maybe I was a little quicker, maybe I was a little bit more knowledgeable, just because I had been there. And my chef telling me, hey man, like, you're gonna learn, just your work ethic, keep your work ethic. All right, cool. So that's when these guys would come in, hey, what are the mother sauces? Like, I don't know what the mother sauces are. Like, what are they? That's a marinara. Oh, bechamel. Well, what's that? Cream sauce. Oh, okay, cool. Like, chefs, like, you gotta go, man. Like, you gotta go learn these.
That's good terms. Influence, honestly. Some chefs would keep you like, no, you're good, man.
No,
but yeah, going to culinary school is a great opportunity. Yeah. Going into debt is not. So I definitely, if you want to go to community,
I agree with you 1,000%, man.
But like going to these community colleges, and you think like, oh, it's a slow. No, it's community college will show you the technical French kitchen, and you'll get the skills that you need. You know what I mean? But don't try to go into crazy debt with these other technical programs at $50,000 and things like that.
Yeah, I've actually persuaded some people to not do that. You know, because I was lucky. I just went to community.
Yeah.
And I actually was thinking of going to Austin, but I wanted to talk to someone, and they wouldn't let me talk to anyone. So like, I want to talk to a chef. They're like, no, you got to go through admissions. Like, this is not for me then. Yeah,
and same. I've always been that type of route. I've never tried to push too hard. I went to culinary school just because, it's funny. I went to that. I told you I worked at the Trattoria, and I got invigorated by what I was doing. And then my parents moved from South Florida back to El Paso. So I had to graduate at Motwood High School at that point. I was 18 years old. I was like distasteful of life. I was just like, whatever. And then, my family was like, you should go to culinary school. And I was like, sure. I mean, cool. And then my uncle's like, you can live with me in Arizona. I'm like, cool, man, sure, that's dude. Cool. So, but once I was in culinary school, it was like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I got skills now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't wait to use this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even worry about not, you know what I mean? Like, it was such a invigorating thing to have those tools in my belt plus the passion. And I was like, dude, I just want to emulate that guy. I want to be that guy that was banging pots on pans off the ceiling. So, I'm trying to like connect the two. So culinary school, did you start gaining confidence and then go into bigger restaurants and
So after culinary school, I realized that, you could know everything, but it comes down to your work ethic, to you actually just doing the thing.
1,000%, yeah,
just
absolutely.
Doing the thing. Like, you could know everything and not do anything, but like, I started really getting into like, all right, I have the ethic, the work ethic, I have the discipline, kind of. Now it's time to really expand my knowledge and really do what I wanted to do. And yeah, I mean, working in kitchens in El Paso, I really was like, no, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep working here and see how far I can get here. But and I know, and a lot of us know that sometimes here in El Paso, you could get stuck. You could start seeing like, okay, what's my next move? Like, I don't know if I want to be a sous chef here. I don't see another opportunity opening up. There's not that many restaurants here. So I always had it in my mind that I was going to move to New York City.
Really?
Yeah. I remember like, all right, I already have 2 kids. I need to plan these next few years to see, because I need to move. Because I know that if I move, I'm going to grow.
How old were you at this point, do you think?
I was like 28, 27,
Okay.
So, but I already had 2 kids, and I was, had to work full time. So it wasn't going to be an easy move. My sister lived in New York City, so I kind of understood how hard it is to live there. So that was my plan, to move, because I was like, no, I don't think there's anything in El Paso that I want to be a part of right now, or that will help me grow more. luckily I I ran into an old high school friend that had a craft beer bar on Mesa, and he told me, hey, if you're ever interested, want to work with us. And I had gone to the place like, oh, this is really unique, this is real new, this is like when the craft scene was coming on.
Sure.
And I was like, this is really different to what was out here before. It's like, well, if you're ever interested, I might open something outside of El Paso. I was like, man, I am, let me know, and I was already in my 30s.
So he was recognizing you for your skills, and like you might be able to like help the menu.
I was working at Specs, man. So.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
But so I mean, what was the connection? Just a friend?
Yeah, he was a high school friend. I did not know that was his bar until I ran into him. He would go to Specs because Specs, we didn't have any freedoms.
Did he want to hire you like as a cook, or was he saying like, let's collaborate and make a menu? And
no, he wanted me to see as a chef. And later on I asked him, hey man, why'd you pick me? I know you would try the soups I made, but how did that? How did you want me a chef when you just try that? It's like, no, because I knew I know who you are. I know how you are. Like, you're disciplined. You're not around messing around. You have a family. I see that in you. And I was like, oh, okay. Like,
much respect, man.
Like, much cool. Respect, like that's now. And then going into the kitchen, I was like, now I understand why you have me here. You really need a lot of discipline in this kitchen. You need to get this together. So I understood that. And I guess that's what he was looking for. And this took like 3 years. And that's at the point, I think 2013, where I was like, all right, we got to move to New York. I got to move to New York. And I had my sister was living in Connecticut.
So would your position have been like kitchen manager at that point?
It would have been the chef position.
The chef,
the executive chef.
Because I just remember the first time I stepped into that role, it was fucking hard, man. And the pay wasn't good, and it was just like, it really tests you. Do you want to do this? You know what I mean?
Well, in the casino, I moved up pretty quickly.
Okay.
To chef de cuisine. I moved up pretty quickly, and then when I left, I went to another sous chef position in corporate. I did not like it. Boom, I got knocked back down. I had to start again from a line cook, which I was fine with.
Yeah, of course.
So I was, all right, now I'm a line cook again, working at this restaurant, this restaurant, this restaurant. Now it's time for me to either leave or find something solid here. And I couldn't find anything solid here. Luckily, I ran into him, and he's like, yeah, I know, a year or two, I'm going to do something in San Antonio. The same concept. I was like, cool, sign me up for that.
Cool.
And he approached me again in 2014. It's like, you know what, man? I think I'm gonna leave El Paso. I don't think I can do this. But I remember the words he told me. He's like, look, man, I might not be able to offer you many, but one thing I can is I could teach you how to be a business owner.
Nice.
And I'm gonna tell you something, Emi. There's nothing like owning your own business, man. I'm going to tell you straight up. It's the greatest feeling in the world. It might not be the easiest, but it's the greatest. Dude, that clicked on me like that, and I was like, all right, I'll work for you.
Nice.
Like, once he said that to me, and I was like, you know what? If I ever want my own place, and if he did it, I can do it.
There you go. Absolutely, yeah, definitely, man. That's the thing that we're trying to do here, man. Like, it's just let people know, like, your passion and your discipline. Like, you got it, you can do it. Like, seriously, just find it, and we don't say that you got to make your career out of it. It's or destiny, but like, do a little side hustle, make yourself a little happier. When you own something and it's yours, it's gonna make your heart feel better, man. Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up.
I mean, regardless of our relationship with him, he taught me a lot, man. Like, whenever he would speak about anything, about credit, about loans, about anything,
you were soaking it up.
Maybe all the other people around us weren't listening, but I was soaking everything up.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Why is this like this? Why do you have your credit score? How do you get that credit card? How do you get that loan? Where did you get that money? Like, just asking questions, man. And from then on, once I learned, okay, this is a pathway, I got to get my shit together. I got to get my credit up here. I got to do this. I got to do that. And that was since 2013, I just started working on that and getting my shit together, pretty much.
Shit. Yeah. So I'm sure there's much more things that happen in the next 6 years, but I guess in 2019 is when you opened Elemi.
Yes.
So just to remind you guys, we're talking to Chef Emiliano Merantes. He has a restaurant named Elemi, and a specialty or kind of I don't know, tortillas and masa specialties would be kind of the focus of your restaurant.
Yeah.
And then they're open Tuesday through Thursday here in El Paso, 5 to 10. On Fridays, 5 to 11. And then on Saturdays, 3 to 11. That's most hours. And on the east side location, if you've been to the downtown location, you got a taste of what he has to offer. Try the east side location. It's a little bit more room. You're going to get a better reservation and same flavor.
Thank you.
So El Elemi Taqueria That's coming soon, huh? You got another one coming, something coming up, huh?
So I'm not supposed to say much, but yeah, we have something planned for the West Side.
That's awesome, man. I saw it on your IG because I see it. I take a look at what you got going and the way you your presentation and stuff like that. So I saw, what Elemi Taqueria? Oh, that's what's up, man. Seriously. So you're doing good things, man. I'm glad. I'm so glad. Just to give a little background too, guys. This gentleman was a James Beard semifinalist in 2023 for Best Chef and Best Restaurant. Or is it one in the same?
Best Chef Texas.
Best Chef Texas. Okay, that is big, guys, because the James Beard Award is obviously not Michelin, but it's as far as chefs go and getting awards, that's definitely something on the top of the list. It shows that not only are you a disciplined chef, doing things the right way, sanitation and serving the community the right way, but you're also taking care of your people behind the scenes, your staff. You're showing them the right way. They're conveying that to the customer that what the chef needs and wants and stuff like that. So it's a whole big circle of things that to get the James Beard Award nominee and then to be a semifinalist. Seriously, you're doing a great job. So congratulations, Chef, on that for sure. I don't know if you want to go into that real quick, just because I started off with just talking about Elemi, but just the James Beard Award real quick, if you want to just talk about that.
Yeah, so it was, if you would have asked me in January of 2022 if we were to ever be nominated, I would have like, absolutely not. That's not going to happen. That'll never happen.
Very humble, Chef.
So I mean, obviously, February 2022, I was going through some things, like we had discussed before. It was a struggle to be independent, to keep doing what I was doing. I would doubt myself all the time. I didn't know if I wanted to keep doing this.
You're 3 years in at this point,
yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm.
And then I get a text message from Chef Rico Torres from San Antonio congratulating me, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what's going on? And I knew the James Beard would come out sometime that month, and I saw it and I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, did it just happen? Like, I was at a store and I just almost started crying, and people are looking at me like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, and I was like, I can't believe this just happened. I called my wife and I was
blessing,
like,
man.
you just see what happened? And it was just, I mean, then I could have been like, all right, this is good enough. Like,
right?
But
hung it up.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling, man. Like, it truly is, especially when you've gone through it. I'm sure you see how hard you work, and when you get that recognition, man, you're like, wow. And now I know why I'm doing it.
The recognition, because like you talked about before, is this like you had a vision, you seen what corporate kitchens look like, and you said, I'm not going to do this, and you had a passion for the actual food, for the actual produce, and you just never looked back. You had a vision, and it was beeline, and you started your restaurant Elemi, and you brought this to the public, and 3 years into it, you got your recognition. And I'm so glad too, because like you said, entrepreneurs go through these highs and lows of money, human resource, even family, can draw you back from your business, you know what I mean? So there's so many things that stop you from actually excelling each year. And then when you get I say accolade, but it's actually the respect, like you said, and it just makes you keep going. You're just like, you know what? Okay, I'm just gonna keep going because this is great. Thank you so much. You know what I mean? And it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It is definitely
Absolutely badass. So, and then another thing that happened is, in case you don't know, El Paso, August 1st is Elemi Day, right?
Yeah, city. That's cool.
That's fucking badass, man. So the El Paso City Council and the rep gave you that award, I guess.
Yeah.
That's fucking
proclamation. I think
proclamation is that what they call it. That's badass, because you were downtown shaking hands over this stuff like that. So you're getting respect from the people in your own community as well as the chef community. So that's great. I mean, I can't say anything more. Seriously, Chef, I much respect to you. Seriously, much respect. So if I could go into some of your food, because I've been to your restaurant a handful of times. I wish I could have been more, but there's some things that really perked my interest. The torta la güera.
Okay.
Is that one of your signature items? I mean,
I mean, that's an experience that I had in Mexico City. Unfortunately, the lady that would do those tortas is no longer with us. She did pass away recently, but I remember being told about this torta in Mexico City, and I was like, what are you talking about? It's called the esquina de chilaquiles, and sure enough, like, I thought it was just some soggy bread and chilaquiles and milanesa. But man, when you're there, it's different. And trying that torta for the first time, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, how do you, like, this is just amazing. Like,
it like kind of blows your mind a little bit, like, the textures and the flavors and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I was just blown away by it. And being that we work with masa, I'm like, man, imagine we use great tortillas in this torta. I can only imagine what we can do. So that was inspiration for that torta.
Excellent. Yeah, because great flavor. Let me tell you, like, because that's one thing when I walk into a restaurant, I do not say, give me the menu and let me look through it. Yeah. That's not what I do. I actually walk in and I'm like, what's good here? What do you recommend? What does the chef got going on today and stuff like that? And your bartender, man, he just told me everything about all the food, all the drinks and everything. And he's like, if we have this on the special, I think it was a lunch special, but it was a torta la güera. So
that was downtown. Yeah.
So yeah, when I was downtown, so I tried that and I was like, you know what, I can't leave here. Yeah. I might be a little bit full, but I can't leave here. I had a campesino taco. Okay. That's awesome. And is it traditional? Is that just a campesino is just made one way? Is it, or what is the campesino?
No, so it was just, you know, what. And it's funny because those are the vegetables that I got that day. When Elemi opened in 2019, we were trying to be a seasonal restaurant. As crazy as you think. It was extremely tough. It was really hard. I mean, El Paso, we don't have a farmer's market, so it was extremely tough to be a seasonal restaurant. And I would have guests come in and be like, hey, what's up with this dish? Like, oh, we changed it. Like, no, we want to try this. And I was like, I don't know, maybe it's too much for us right now. So those are the vegetables I started with. And I'm like, all right, this is what we're going to get right now. This is what we're going to keep using. But I think I wanted to use squash blossoms before the eggplant, but we couldn't get any. So we got some local eggplant and we just stuck to that.
Speaking of okay, I'm gonna try to say it. Tlayuda, flor de calabaza, right? And that's where you use those blossoms, right?
Yeah.
Man, because I've seen them in school and I've seen people use them, but I've never actually bit into them.
Yeah.
And once I did it, I was like, damn, these are good. These are different. They're flavorful and they're beautiful. Like when you guys present it, it's beautiful. So, where was that influence from?
So in Mexico, you pretty much just see them in quesadillas.
Oh, really?
So I remember being a young kid traveling through Mexico with my dad and, you know, having this blue corn tortilla. And it was like, what's in here? And it was just squash blossoms. What's squash blossom?
Yeah.
It's a little flor before it becomes a squash. Okay, cool. Oh, my God, this is amazing.
Right?
Yeah. So
definitely something you guys got to try if you go to the Elemi. I don't want to say it in Spanish.
So you kind of don't say the T.
Okay, so it's la ayuda.
Yeah.
It's almost like, okay, la ayuda, flor de calabaza. Yeah. There you go. Perfect, man. And then, so I was like, I didn't have that dish, but I just know that's one of your like dishes that you like. That day, I had the arroz con leche mexicana. Mexica.
Yeah.
Okay. That was something different because I was like, what do you got for dessert? Oh, let me get it for you. I'll get you dessert. Didn't even like tell me what he was going to bring me. I thought it was like arroz con leche.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not, right?
So one thing you'll see at our restaurant is that we've never had rice. And I did that on purpose. I was like, let's try not to ever use rice. If we can get away with not using rice, let's let that be like a little challenge for us.
Yeah.
You know, and before the conquista, you know, people would eat chia seeds in Mexico and South America. So before rice, we were eating chia seeds.
Okay.
So that's the whole point of that.
Excellent.
And, you know, making a chia pudding, you know, the same way was like, let's do that instead.
Yeah. Very flavorful. That is the chia pudding, and then it's a salsa de piña, piloncillo, candied pecans, berries, and then the cocoa flakes.
Yes.
The layers, I'm telling you, like the texture, flavor. I mean, I was like, damn, like seriously, that day like was great. First of all, like getting into downtown was kind of hard. I mean, but it was. But I sat down at the bar, luckily, and then the gentleman that had all the knowledge in the world of what you had to offer. It was a great experience, I'm telling you. So I kept going after that. I didn't stop. But I did a couple other items that I haven't tried, but I want to. Tacos choriqueso.
Oh, the taco choriqueso.
Taco choriqueso. Yeah. Chorizo verde and negro.
At the time, I think I made a black chorizo, which is just, you know, burnt chilies.
Okay.
That smokiness out of there, like kind of dark. And our standard is the chorizo verde, which is instead of doing dried chilies, we just fresh herbs and fresh chilies. Make it nice and green and spinach as well.
The flavor, I can only imagine. It's awesome. Tetla de carnitas y chicharrón ahogada.
Oh, that was amazing. That was actually really good.
Sheesh, yeah.
That one was amazing.
I actually these are I have notes in my book, and I was going back to my notes, and I was like, I never got in to try that. I was like,
that one was actually really good. I was surprised by that one, but we just folded the tela, which is like a triangle, with some other carnitas and some chicharrón that we had made. And, you know, we had some sauce and we just worked on it. And it was so simple, man. Things we had at the restaurant, and we were like blown away by it. Like, wow, this is amazing.
And even the picture you have on IG, it's beautiful. Like, it's simple, but it's beautiful. Great. And then your whole IG is beautiful. All your pictures you post are great.
That's thanks to my wife.
Is that right? Shout out to your wife then. That's badass, honestly. You need it's not easy running this whole the whole deal. And then the last thing I want to try, I don't know if you still have it on the menu, but or is it new thing? Cheesecake de calabaza.
Oh yeah, that was our pastry chef, this young lady that's extremely talented, that you know she just does these amazing things. And you know, she tells me, hey, this is what I want to do. And a lot of it for her is she's also learning and kind of experimenting. And, you know, as long as the idea works well with our concept, you know, I'm pretty open. And that's how I am. Like, if you have an idea, if it works well with our concept, I'm pretty open. I'm like, hey, man, what do you have? I like that.
That's great.
You know, I like to work with people. I think the best dishes I've ever tried are collaborations. And I think the best dishes I've come up with, someone had a say of something in there. So I love to do that. I love to collaborate.
Absolutely. Yeah, collaboration is like definitely something that because like I told you, I come from kitchens that are competitive, so I was always like, hey chef, what do you think about this? And he'd be like, yeah, no, let's try it. And then you get the hate from everybody else, you know what I mean? Like, it's different now that I'm now in Paso scene, this past couple years that I've been doing the chef thing. It's nothing but collaborations. Like, come help me, come do this. I'm like, are you serious? Like, no, I'm not gonna charge you nothing. Like, let me just go help you. Let's go do this. You know what I mean? A lot of good chefs here in El Paso right now. So some things that I just want to ask is like, we talked about discipline for sure, but who or what like inspires you? Like, what, like, is it something or is it someone that inspires you to go on your journey that you're on right now?
I would say just seeing that brigade, that kitchen brigade at that casino, and seeing how it was working, and you know, learning that there, and just, you know, I don't know, I fit in that, and I just, you know, once I started seeing that, I kind of wanted to stick. And even though like my kitchen's not even ran like that, you know, but you know, just seeing that, something about it drew me in. I don't know if it was that. It was like, maybe I needed discipline in my life, or maybe I needed, you know, that.
Are you talking about like the white coats and then the stocks and stuff like everywhere?
Yeah, just the way the kitchen was ran, you know, having the chef de cuisine, the sous chef, the way it was operated.
The brigade, for sure.
How it would operate, to me, that just was like, wow, like, this is how a kitchen operates. Like, I've never known to have that much discipline within an organization or in a business. So that to me was real. And not only that, you know, I get to cook food by having this discipline. So I guess just seeing that and experiencing that kind of, you know, put me down that path.
Excellent. So, and then we definitely talked about the people that raise you. Is there anybody that you want to give kudos to? I mean, it could be your grandparents or your parents, even, like, that actually.
Yeah, my parents for sure. I mean, they and my mom, I would say that she's kind of like the one that kind of took me down this road, down masa, you know, because, you know, like, I worked at a tortilleria, but we were so used, like, flour tortillas, we all eat that. That was our everyday burritos, whatever. But at my home, my mom would bring tortillas de maíz from Juárez. And at that time, I think they were still using nixtamal. So we didn't know anything but that. You know, I never bought tortillas de maíz anywhere. You know, we would just go pick up our kilos with my mom. So we always knew, like, those tortillas were the best. So even as I worked at a tortilleria, I wouldn't eat those because they used maseca in those. And so I would always go to home. I would always go home, or we had it at home. And, you know, she was so dedicated to bringing us those tortillas that to us, that was just normal. Like, no, we need better tortillas. Yeah.
So you're carrying on that tradition for sure.
So because of that, inspired me to one day open up a tortilleria. So that's kind of how I went down this road. Just knowing, like, there's better tortillas out there. And working at a tortilleria, I knew, like, when my mom would say, no, this is not good, this is good, you know. So I was like, man, one of these days I hope I can do that. Like, it'd be cool to just do that, like, to just, you know, make tortillas the old way.
That's fucking badass. Honestly. And I didn't know that come to fruition. I get goosebumps because, you know, we grew up and stuff like that, and our parents influences different things, man. And for you to, you know, come full circle that way, that's awesome, man. Seriously, that's fucking badass, dude. Seriously. And then as far as, like, Well, I'll ask this question first. Cocina cultura. What is that to you? What does that mean to you? Because you post that a lot.
Yeah. So when I was talking to my brother about that, you know, he's kind of like a big. He's like another dad, you know, tells me what to do, tells me what to think, you know, and he always tells me that, you know, like, hey man, you gotta really, you know, find a way to embed your culture in what you're doing, and you know, put your culture in there, and not just in the food, but in the way you operate. Because our culture is, you know, we were around helping people, you know, helping migrant farm workers. So it's like, you know, a business sometimes doesn't necessarily help people. So just having that culture and creating a culture within a business is really hard. But it's understanding that, like, to most people, Elemi culture, they might not understand it unless they come and work with us. Okay. And then once they come and work with us, it's a culture. It's like you got to learn that culture there first. Okay. And it's not necessarily you know, we're deeply rooted in Mexico,
right?
But just the culture that we have there, and that
the love for the product, exactly. The people, the history. You know what I mean?
So it's like a kitchen of culture. And
awesome.
Like that's what we try to offer you, not just our food, but also the culture that we have going on there.
Definitely, and I can say that for sure. From the plate presentation to the flavor, to the product knowledge that your staff has and stuff like that, you're definitely coming through with that for sure. So I wanted to see, like, if you have a cuisine that you say that you want to stamp your food with, or maybe just like a specialty that you say that would be the stamp of your restaurant.
I think our masa is something that we are extremely proud of. We're extremely, you know, committed to making the best masa. It's not easy. I know it's been a little bit of a trend, and I understand that, you know, I mean, but, you know, to us, like, that's our number. If you go to our kitchen, that's what we're talking about. We'll talk about food, about recipes, about, you know, specials or whatever. But every day we're talking about masa. How did it come out? What are we doing? What's going on? What's going on with the cal? What kind of maíz is this? Where's this maíz from? So that's our discussion there. Like, that's always number one. And the guys know that. The guys, when they're there, they understand that. Like, they try the tortilla, they try the masa. So that's always ongoing, man. So if you talk about Elemi, we are molineros, man. Like, that's our number one
molineros
goal. Yeah. So before anything, and this is my philosophy, you know, if you're going to give me a taco, it starts with a tortilla. So obviously the tortilla has to be the best thing on there.
There you go.
And there's different ways to make a tortilla, and there's so many, you know, variables that can change how that tortilla comes out, from the maíz to where the maíz comes from to how you grind it, how you cook it. So to us, that's like our thing, man. And if we are judged by anything, judge us by our tortilla.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that, Chef. And then I have some not too technical questions, but yeah, I mean, your background would not the, I don't want the definition, but what does entrepreneurship mean to you?
Entrepreneurship to me has meant, you know, a lot of sacrifice, but if you have a plan, there's a reward. So sacrifice plus a plan equals a reward to me.
Hey, that's good. That's a good little formula, honestly, because it involves risk. Yeah, it's like you have an idea, you have a passion, you're going to go forward with it, but you got to risk some certain things to get that profit or that, you know, end goal that you're looking for sure.
But more importantly is the plan. Like, sure. You know, you could not know how you're going to get there, but have a plan. I always had whether it was going to be a tortilleria or a restaurant, I had a plan. Like, no, man,
goals,
that's
like
my
vision.
goal. Like, I need to get there. How I'm going to get there, we'll see. But that was always my goal. And everything I did, I believe from the time I turned 30 till I opened Elemi, was for that goal. Like, nah, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. But when you have a plan, like, you're always working towards that. Versus if you're just like, oh, one day I might do this or that, you know. Yeah. Even if you don't, but, you know, you're just going to be juggling things versus, nah, that's my plan. It kind of kept me grounded. That's what I'm going for. So if you have a plan, like, let's say you're a culinary student, have a plan, whether it's to open up a restaurant or whatever, just have a plan. It might change later on.
It's truth. Yeah, it's the truth. I really went to culinary school, and I was like, man, when I'm 30, I'm going to have a restaurant. I'm going to start working at these restaurants, and I'm going to learn some stuff. By the time I'm 30, I'm going to open a restaurant. 30 came, and I was like, not even close. You know what I'm saying?
I was told that, too. You know, I was going to open up a food truck with a friend, and he told me, and that best words, you're not ready. He told me straight up, like, you're not ready. And I love that. I still talk to him.
Yeah?
Yeah, he told me, you're not ready.
I mean, sometimes you think maybe, you don't know, I'm capable of, right? But that's good advice, man. I'm glad you took that advice. Or maybe you were just taking...
It hurt.
It
hurt a little bit.
But yeah, you're like, okay, maybe there's some things I'm missing out of my tool belt. Let me figure it out. You know what I mean? 2012, I tried to open up a food truck. Nobody told me I couldn't. Yeah. So I went out there and I did it. I had me and a chef buddy. So it was two chef egos clashing in a bus all day long, man. Shit. It didn't really work out, but it was a learning experience, like you said. You know what I mean? Like, you got to know when you're ready to open up something of your own. You know what I mean? Yes. And mine cultivated, translated all the way up to, I worked in a corporate Costco for a couple years, and I was like, dude, I make good money, but I just don't love what I do. So I started the personal chef, business plan, and I just started writing it. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah, just got to keep going, man. So let me ask you, Chef, how do you maintain, like, what keeps you motivated as a business owner?
What keeps me motivated now is that I have a responsibility to my team and to my family. Today's payroll's due, so I got to make sure that gets done. So it grew from, like, now I'm this cook, I'm this chef, to now I'm like, hey, man, now I have people that look up to me that are dependent on me. Mm-hmm. I have to make sure that they're taken care of. So that's what keeps me motivated. Sometimes it gets hard to wake up, like, I got to do this again and all that. But, I mean, my team's there, and I got to make sure I show up for them, not just by being there, but making sure their payroll is done right, making sure that they're growing with me, whether it's with raises or any other way. That's now, like, my goal. And, it's weird because, when I opened Elemi at 36, I thought I was going to be cooking every day, all day.
And you probably told yourself that, huh?
Yeah. But you get these responsibilities, and now there's people that are under you that, like, depend on you. Like, hey, man, like, I depend on you getting your shit straight or making sure your numbers are right, because this is my job. So, like, to me, that's something I'm really big on, and making sure that on my end I'm taking care of those things. And I'm not perfect, but I try my hardest to take on that responsibility, and making sure that everyone gets paid on time, that everyone gets what they need, that the restaurant is fully stocked. It's also, like, if you work in a restaurant that's not operating properly, you're not going to enjoy it, so obviously making sure that's running well and operating well. That's what keeps me going, man, making sure that we're on point, and that my team has what they need.
Awesome. That's good, because like, most restaurants are like, oh, I remember my boss used to run in, I gotta make $10,000 this week. How the fuck are we gonna make $10,000 this week? You know what I mean? It's like, what kind of a pressure is that, like, to give on your cooks? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't really make sense. You know what I mean? So for me to do my job as a cook, I just need the tools, and then I need you to be there to help me. You know what I mean? And I think that's what you're talking about.
And I try not to ever talk to my cooks about stuff like that. Like, the numbers are not their concern. Their concern is to make sure the food tastes great, right, and that they're serving good, clean, quality food. So obviously, like, anything that they're doing on that aspect, like, hey, man, make sure this is good. Taste your food. Make sure it's balanced. Everything.
Taste your food, yeah.
If we waste something, if I'm gonna lose, some money there or there, like, at the end, like, what are we doing? I'm
give them the vision, not like, yes, absolutely, exactly. 100%. Like, that's great.
I'm not picking that little cent here, 25 cents here. Like, I think about those things, but, like, that's not their concern. Their concern is making sure the food's great.
Absolutely,
so that's how
I talked about the jalapeno, the yield that you get from vegetables and things like that. I keep a compost bucket, and some of my chefs that I work for me don't do that, and I showed them one time how that could benefit them, and I started picking through their bucket and making salsas and making different things, stock and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, that's smart. I'm like, it's smart, but, like, when you own this, when you're the one who buys the product, you want it to last and go as far as you can, you know what I mean? And that way it helps me and it helps you at the same time, if you can understand that. And I think showing them rather than just barking at them and just telling, not making sense, you know what I mean? I think showing them exactly what you mean, makes more sense.
And I think a lot of us now, before, we just didn't want a chef to be upset. Like, I don't care if he explains anything, just don't be mad at me, or be happy with what I'm doing. Versus now, it's not like that for us. We got to actually show them, why do you do that? Because of this, and because this. Why do we do that? Because of this.
And that's respect, too. That's just respect, too. Like, I respect you enough to tell you why, you know what I mean? This is going on, not just like, never mind, you don't know how to do it, or something like that. You know what I mean? That definitely, that's a great way to stay in business for a long time, sir. there's two things that are pretty important. I think we have a vision of opening up a restaurant or opening up a business, and then we don't realize there's so many more aspects of it. So can you tell me about marketing?
So marketing to us in downtown was really easy. You know, we kind of opened. We really didn't need much besides our Instagram. I think we did a few sponsored posts. Once word of mouth got out, we really didn't invest in marketing. You know, we were really lucky that we didn't have to. That I always told my wife, at the end of the day, if the food's not good, I don't care how many billboards you have. It's not gonna. Who cares?
I don't know whether there's a word for that, but I mean, honestly, it's like integrity. I think that's integrity, honestly, and you have to have integrity as a business owner, as a chef, but also as a business owner for sure. That's great advice.
I mean, you see billboards out on the highway, and like I'm sure some of those places are great,
and it's a good investment. If you ever want to just try it out one time, sure. But I mean, the money involved.
So. That was easy for us downtown. Now on the east side, you know, we probably do need to focus a little bit more on marketing. You know, I started seeing that, you know, my ego in me thought like, oh, everyone's gonna come to Elemi, and it's like, no, dude, you're in a different neighborhood now. Like now you need to ponte las pilas. Like, you gotta
get that going.
You can't just stay. You can't, like, making great food might not just be the only, you know, way to get people in here. Maybe you need a market now. And so I had to let go of that. Like, no, we need a market now.
For sure. Yeah. And then are you manipulating any like platforms like IG and Facebook and stuff like that? Because that's like free marketing.
Yeah. So we use our IG a lot. We rarely sponsor any posts. But we try to use our IG as much as possible. We're recently starting to, you know, market with some local magazines.
Nice.
So that's what we're going to start doing. So just
I think people know your name. It's funny. It's like me. My business is called Keeping It PC Personal Chef Service, and I'm Chef Clay. I really thought Keeping It PC would be the business. Here's my card, but it's like no, Chef Clay. So I think. Chef Emmy, I mean, not to be egotistical, but like that's what people know. Honestly, people know you, and I think you should be out there, you know, talking to the people and telling them come to East, go downtown and just tell, hey, come East. I'm over East. I don't know if you know that. They're like, what? Because I told them, like, I tell people like, hey, you got to try Elemi, and they're like, yeah, downtown. I'm like, no, he has a new restaurant on the east side off of East Lake, and like, oh really? And I was like, oh man, come on now, because I think it was there was a gap in between time when you had the downtown and then when you actually opened the East Lake. So I think maybe some people might be like, maybe he's done or he went to a different city or something like that. You know what I mean? So
No, I honestly didn't want that gap to be that long, but
business you can never control, man. Honestly,
I wanted to open in December. And it's like, oh my God,
are
we even gonna open? And we can open in December, so that was tough. But
well, everything happens for a reason, Chef, and I honestly think that you have a bright future. So I mean, maybe it's a little bit of downshift, but it's gonna happen, especially the fall coming up. There's a lot of things that are gonna pop off. You have more room for like big events, bigger parties. I mean,
definitely,
excellent. Networking. What do you feel? How do you feel about networking as a business, as a chef, and stuff like that?
I'm not gonna lie and say that I network a lot. I don't. You know, I've worked a lot my whole life, so any downtime I go and spend with my family now.
Which is
so I'm not a big on networking. But I do have certain individuals I talk to that I kind of just you know
bounce information. And
bounce things back and forth, talk business, ask questions. I have a really small group of friends. I really don't hang out a lot. I've worked so much, man, that I've kind of like I'm starting to get back in football because I've never had Sundays off. So,
nice.
You know, like it was always working. It's always working.
It's absolutely true.
And now that I'm like, okay, now I have a little bit of free time. It's like, well, my kids are already older, so they're about to leave, so I gotta focus on them. So
definitely,
networking
I'm with you
for
on that
me hasn't been like that big. Besides a few friends that I know and that I talk to, or if there's an event that I really believe in, I'll go and check it out. But for me, you know, I'm always at Elemi, so networking has been a little hard for me.
These are just different aspects that come up as far as businesses, and you can like it's like, you know, it's like you manipulate these channels like more or less, you know. Who knows, maybe you're networking more, you get a great chef and then you can network more, or you know what I mean.
That's the plan.
anything can happen, you know. Anything can happen. So do you have any advice for a chef or a new business owner, somebody who is passionate like you, driven, disciplined, and ready to do something? Do you have any advice for them?
Well, depending on what you're doing, you know, just I think one of the most important things in business is being consistent. Consistency is going to get you across everything, across all obstacles that are going to come your way. And the way I would explain it is, not every day is going to be a Friday or a Saturday. Not every day is going to be a pop-up, you're going to have to come on a Tuesday and it's going to be slow, and you got to figure out how to do that every Tuesday. So consistency to me has always been number one. So like sometimes I can't do things, and because I consistency is more important. How you operate on a day-to-day basis is real important, because we're now in a world where we need to be stimulated all the time, and it's like your Tuesday or Wednesday service is probably not going to be like your Friday service, but you got to be just as ready. So that's the challenge. How are you ready from Monday through Sunday? Like how do you stay ready? How do you stay consistent? And I think that's what happens to a lot of businesses and restaurants too, is they're not going to make it just by being busy on the weekend. You got to be consistent throughout the week. Yeah. So that's in a business, that's how you have to be. And more than anything, I think in restaurants, and I've seen it a lot of times, is you might hit a slow time, but never the quality of your food should always be high. Never focus on that. And I think a lot of businesses, hey, we'll cut a corner here, we'll get this meat a little cheaper. And I think that's when businesses start messing up. Yeah. They devalue their food, and now they have to lower their prices, and now you're down a spiral now. So it's just, and I get it. Some businesses probably have different finances, and I understand that maybe you need to save a little money here and there, but if you can remain consistent, you're going to be fine. It's not easy. No, it's not easy. That's the thing. Yeah, it's not easy. And then I remember in a restaurant, sometimes they say consistency in recipe too, like, using the same products and the same, recipe over and over again. But for me, like I'm different, like, and because I'm a personal chef, like I never want to make something the same, honestly. I always want to make it better, or add something different and stuff like that. So consistency in your quality, I could say for sure. Like I get that, what you're saying, and just always keeping your standards high and consistently high during those Tuesday times when there's nothing to do. Practice your knife skills, what I'm saying? Like help out with whatever needs to be helped out with, even cleaning. You think it's like beneath you, it's not. Like consistency involves sanitation, involves working in a clean kitchen, and having an environment that everybody wants to be in, at all times. So that's great advice, Chef. And then we have a couple questions that we ask everybody here at Grind2Hard. One being that chefs have egos, but what is the line between confidence and cockiness? I think being able to work with others is real important, and also letting go of control, which is something that I think we all have an issue with. And most chefs aren't mean people, obviously they just have a vision, and sometimes, maybe I lack the way to communicate this vision, and I get mad and like, nah, you suck, get out of here, let me do it, but it always comes down to us, and I think it's something that happens when you get older, that you start realizing like, okay, we failed not because of him, but because, at the end of the day, it comes down to me. Take responsibility, maybe for sure. I had the ability to do this, but maybe they didn't, and I didn't communicate that properly. So just learning that at the end of the day, it falls on you. And also, I don't want to make anyone feel bad. And I know I've made people feel bad. And, usually it's because, I have a vision. This is what we want to do. This is how the food should come out. And maybe I didn't explain it properly. And, I don't want to make you feel bad. And I'm really good at, my chefs getting on me and then walking out and be like, oh, we're cool, but it doesn't necessarily mean everyone's going to be like that. Sure. There might be some people that have a little bit more emotion involved, and it's like, hey, why are you mad at me? Like we were just working. Yeah. True. So it's the kitchen is a high octane environment, you know what I mean? Especially during those Friday nights, you want that consistency you're talking about, and carry out the vision of the restaurant, of the chef, and the culture and everything. So the ego comes in when people fall out of line, and then maybe you're a little cocky, but the confidence comes in when you take responsibility and realize, you know what I mean? Yeah, I agree. I can be a better coach, and I can maybe I told him 100 times, but he needed 101 times to hear it. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember getting off on this chef that got a job before me, and he was my chef, and I applied for his job, and I would just hate on him, be like, nah, my soup's better than you. But I had to really learn, like, no, like, regardless of how I think I am, like, you know, that's not right. You know, like, you know, he got that position, and, you know, I had to humble myself because, you know, that's not cool either. And I guess it just comes with age that you don't want to be that type of person.
True.
And not only that, like, I ended up becoming good friends with that guy and that chef, and I love the guy now, and it's like, why was I acting like that? This guy was nothing but nice to me.
Yeah, I think when we were young, we like I said, I wanted to have a restaurant at 30, so I was like, I gotta get there. I'm the best. You know.
But I think that's what it is, right? Like we're just competing all the time. That we're like, nah, man, like I can't let this guy beat me.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
And I think it's not even like that now with these newer guys. You know, these newer guys aren't like that. They don't have that ferociousness to like beat each other up, but we grew up kind of with that.
Yeah, for a little bit,
We have to learn now to not do that.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. I really tell myself in a lot. It's like, why can't he perform? It's like, did I really show him that? I'm like, maybe I did, but let me like show him again. You know what I mean? Let me just show him again. And you know, and if he makes a mistake, I'm gonna take note at what he actually makes the mistake in and what process, and you know what I mean? Like I care more, you know, rather than just saying that you suck or you just don't care. I don't think, you know, I'm more like, you know what, like you're here, so I'm gonna do my best to make sure that you can carry out my vision. Yeah, for sure.
And I think sometimes we work with people that might not have the capabilities that you might have.
Right.
And like understanding that is another big part. Like, okay, maybe I need to understand what their capabilities are.
That's true.
And I need to manage myself around them. You know, it's not fair to them that, you know, they can't do what I do. Maybe that's just not what they do. And, you know, it's just understanding that and really being able to communicate with them and try to work around them.
It's true. That's true, Chef. Yeah. Spoken well. Very well. So the last question we have here is how do you pay it forward? So you've had a lot of blessings in your life. Yeah. People have put you down the right roads and give you some passion, but how do you pay it forward?
So I believe, you know, someone that was raised by parents who are always helping the working man, like I always, you know, business and helping the working man usually don't coincide because the business ultimately is trying to make money,
more revenue, exactly,
capital. So obviously it's how do you balance that? You know, the system is set up not to do that. So it's just trying to find that balance in how you take care of your of the team. You know, how do you treat them? You know, they're there just as much as you are. So finding that way to operate a business the right way, which is pretty hard, is I believe it's a responsibility to us as business owners. Obviously sometimes it's harder if you don't have the revenue or if you don't have the numbers to help you, but like one of the main things that I told my wife before we opened Elemi is like, once we can't pay our employees, we're shutting it down. So I never want to owe any unemployed money. So that was one of our biggest things before we opened Elemi, and luckily we didn't have to do that. So that's one way. It's just being a responsible business owner and not taking from your team and making sure that they're getting what they deserve. Another thing is trying to help whatever organization, you know, we could help out. We don't have a lot of, you know, wealth to be just throwing it everywhere.
Sure.
And I'm a big believer that if I have $500, you know, who am I going to give that to? The people that are walking through this door every day. So I'd rather give that to my team. So yeah, I mean, we'll help some organizations out, you know, like the Ronald McDonald Foundation. We'll just give them gift cards to donate, and wherever we can, we try to do the best. If an organization hits me up and we can give them something, a gift card, we will. I'm real big on not posting a lot of that stuff. What I told my wife was, you know, because she wants to be involved, and I was like, you know what, like, I'm cool with helping them, but like, I don't want people to support my business just because we're donating, you know. Right. I want to do that from us. Like, we want to be those people, but we don't need to add to our business. Like, we're okay.
Like, we're doing it for for the marketing of the whole thing.
We don't want to do that, and that's something that people might not know, but that's big for us. And you know, there's organizations that hit us up and will ask us for things, and you know, we'll do what we can or give them what we can. And also, we have to believe in what you're doing, you know. So we know what you're doing, especially if it's helping kids. My wife's going to jump on that. Excellent. Like, hey, how can we help them, or what can we give them? And you know, we start discussing those things. So we try our best to be just responsible business owners, man, as much as possible.
And that you can't do much more, honestly, because like most businesses crash in the first 2 years because they can't pay their bills, or you know, they're trying to push some product that people aren't in the community wanting. You know what I'm saying? And you fit. And as far as Elemi, they fit a lot of pillars in integrity, culture, and they're, you know, taking care of their people, like in the doors that come in the doors every day and stay there for 8-10 10, 12 hours a day. You know what I mean? Much respect, Chef. It's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to be next to you. Maybe one day we can cook together. But thank you for coming on the show. I extended an invite, and you were very happy to come on the show. And I can tell you, honestly, I'm a humble person, so I really didn't know if you would connect, and you did open arms. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Muy amable, señor.
Yes.
So it's been great talking to Chef Emi. His restaurant is Elemi on the east side, on East Lake. If you guys want to check it out, you'll be very, very pleasantly surprised if you haven't tried it. But obviously, a lot of people maybe have tried it on the downtown area and don't really realize that they're over there on the East Lake area. So check them out. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. This episode was pretty badass. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. Me as a chef, I'm definitely going to be inspired the rest of the week and the rest of the month, because James Beard Award is not something that's offered to a personal chef, but as far as consistency and keep going, you know what I mean? Like, don't stop. My vision is to, was to be in the kitchen and somebody could turn the corner and say, "What's for dinner, chef?" So here I am. And I'm paying it forward, hopefully helping you guys out. Just want to say thanks, Chef. He extended a book for me. I can learn a lot more about masa, honestly. I can picture my grandma making tamales, but I never put a hand into it. I could tell you that for sure. So this is awesome. Thank you so much, Chef. I appreciate it. One more shout out I want to give is for Thirsty AF. It's a small little business here in town that makes agua fresas. If you guys are thirsty, y'all need to check them out. It's on IG, Thirsty AF. Got to support all entrepreneurs here in El Paso. Stay up, y'all. This is a Grind2Hard podcast. We aim to, help you find your passion. So just keep going, stay motivated, and stay positive. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.